Hello everyone, you join us here this week with the all-new Dodge Charger 6-pack, and of course we have it in the coupe format, as that's the only way you can get it right now. And honestly, this thing is so much better than the Dodge Charger Daytona electric vehicle. I actually really like it. It handles well in the snow with all-wheel drive. As you can see, we have the full light bar on this particular one, and just to prove that it is indeed a 6-pack, we have that 6-pack logo up on the front hood over there. Of course, that coupe roofline, and of course you can have a little listen at its dirty rear and exhaust. Well, let's go take this thing on a drive and see how it is out on the road. Guys, hopping inside, we can see we have quite a colossal door opening here. Getting inside is pretty easy as well. Nice and snug. Let's shut up our absolutely massive door. Pretty solid thunk there. We have some ambient light going on in this particular one, and whoa, this is a crazy cabin. Now, we've seen this in the Charger Daytona EV we reviewed last year, but this is pretty much the same formula, just with the package I wish that car had, which is this awesome ambient light upgrade. It's like a tech package, so we get this. We also get a wireless charge mount, which we also didn't have in the Daytona, and a few other fun goodies. You can also get the carbon and suede pack, which adds carbon fiber trim down here, suede insert seats, and all that fun stuff. But this ambient lighting actually is absolutely epic. And in the sedan, you get this exact same door panel on both the front and rear doors with that crazy thing. So honestly, you know, pricing wise, in the $50,000 range, 550 horse, all-wheel drive with a selectable rear-wheel drive mode, this thing is making a really big case for itself. Is it a sports car? I don't really think so. Is it a muscle car? I think it's leaning much more on that muscle GT car side over here on this kind of spectrum of vehicles in this class. So if you're comparing it to an M3 or an M440 or an M4, you're doing the wrong thing here. This is a totally different kind of vehicle. This is a sporty GT muscle car, and it does all of that actually really well. So we have a reversing camera on this one, of course. Really great cameras. The only thing is just, you know, they're a little bit finicky to use in some cases, but I've found a way around this. You can turn on a setting which actually enables them to pop up when you come close to something with your parking sensors automatically, and you can also favorite individual camera settings over here in the favorites button, so you can favorite the driver curve view, for example, or pretty much any other surround system. I also made it a shortcut up here, so while there's no physical buttons, you can make almost a physical button in that aspect over here for that system. You have some widgets as well you can kind of customize up front here. All this is pretty decent to use. The only thing I don't like still is these haptic buttons here. I think they're a little difficult to see in really bright light, but it's fine otherwise. Drive mode selector on our steering wheel. We have auto, sport, wet, snow, custom. All of them are customizable. In sport, you can put it into rear-wheel drive mode when you're locked. You can see right now, we are now in rear-wheel drive mode. You can see it says it up there. Take it off, you're back into all-wheel drive. You do have to be stopped to do that though. Other fun things, we have those performance pages in here as well, so I think I have that set up here. So you can see a whole bunch of crazy amounts of data in here, as you would expect. G-forces, propulsion, there's timers, crazy stuff. And of course, I love what they call the ambient lighting. It's called attitude adjustment, which is kind of funny, but you really can change all these colors. It's super bright during the day and at night. Of course, you can adjust the brightness, and it's controlled also with the dimmer switch here. And I like how you can control almost all the different screens individually with the dimmer switch. There's actually surprisingly quite a lot of stuff going on with this vehicle that I think they're doing really well. Some things, you know, I don't particularly like too much, but I don't know. It's grown on me quite a lot. The one thing I really don't like is the seating position. I think it's way too high. It's honestly taken me the entire week to get used to it, I won't lie. But let's pop it into drive with our pistol grip shifter here. No manual mode, but we do have very tiny little paddles for that, and see how it handles out on the road. No auto brake hold either. Let's pop it into drive, not neutral. But we do have a button for auto stop start to be turned off over there. And the exhaust, the sport exhaust, always sounds good in this car. That's one thing I've learned this week. So of course we have the twin turbocharged high output 3-liter inline 6 in this vehicle here, and of course that's paired to a ZF 8-speed automatic gearbox, sending power to all 4 wheels. So yeah, that's a big difference than the old Charger for sure, and old Challenger in that aspect. It is bigger than that vehicle as well, and heavier, but it is around, I think, 1,000 pounds less than the EV, and boy, do you notice it. The only downside with that EV part is that you notice that higher driving position in this vehicle. I feel like I'm sitting a little bit higher than I would in an older Challenger for sure, but this is the lowest I can get right now. You really got to find and fine-tune your driving position over the course of the week, over the course of the time you're driving the vehicle, because it is definitely something you're going to have to get used to. But around town, it's big. You notice the weight and the size of it just a little bit. Steering's pretty light and direct, honestly, in all applications, I have to say. Steering feel actually is really nice in this car. It's one of my favorite things I've noticed over the course of this week of testing, especially compared to the EV. You don't notice the weight as much in this vehicle because it is a little bit lighter, so you feel like you have a little bit more nimbleness in the steering. So yeah, it can take a corner, it can take a turn, but it is still a big vehicle, remember that. Coming to a stop, the brakes really smooth, nothing weird going on there. I haven't discovered an auto brake hold in the car. I don't believe it has it. Acceleration's pretty soft, in general modes. You even have an eco mode if you really wanted to. You pop it into eco mode and you have a different color with the lights over here on your gauge cluster, and it does actually just tone down the acceleration tuning with the throttle pedal there just a little bit. But yeah, it doesn't do too much. And honestly, I haven't gotten the worst fuel economy this week, even though I've been driving a little bit spiritedly, since this is a fun vehicle. The fun thing is it makes oh, there we go. This always happens on this corner. Thanks, I'm gonna hit that car there. But you always feel like you're going quick in the vehicle. A, because I think it's just so large, and B, you hear those turbo whooshes and whines, and all that stuff really makes it for a theatrical experience. This car lets you know that it has an engine under the hood. The whole vehicle is almost rattling at an idle or just sitting and stop. And you know what? I like it. I appreciate the amount of real, genuine feel from this powertrain you get throughout this car. It feels like you're way more connected with it than the Daytona EV for sure. Paddle shifters are a little stubby. They're really like this. They're like this big. So you may have to be able to hit them. Have to kind of do a target practice there, but at least we do have paddle shifters and it's not locked to this center tunnel over here. Again, really strong sounds and accelerations. This thing sounds loud in the cabin and outside. I'm still on the fence. I'm pretty sure there is some pumped in engine sound happening in this cabin, but it's not all fake. It is genuinely real. It's very loud on the outside. You can hear the actual exhaust. You can hear turbo sounds, intake sounds. All that stuff is happening in this car, so they haven't really killed that experience whatsoever. Other fun stuff with this car, we can change our gauge cluster up here, so we can make it a map if you want. This isn't part of the upgraded package we have here with our ambient lighting and wireless charger, actually, so you can have that. Or you can go to this more softer screen. I really am not a big fan of these gauges whatsoever. I don't really know why the tachometer is all grayed out, and a lot of people have weirdly complained about that. Now I can't unnotice it, but the second you go into sport mode, for example, if we can change our drive mode selector right here real quick, we do have a totally different gauge cluster come up over there. And the car noticeably gets quite wild very quickly. You can change the side panel on the left there, but you always have your tire pressure monitoring in sport mode. And it also turns off traction control and gets very aggressive with the acceleration as well. So we'll pop it back into auto, which I think is a very well-tuned drive mode. I've honestly noticed that the wet snow mode actually does a really great job in the snow. I'll overlay some footage of that. I'll head out onto the highway in just a second. As you can see here, we do have the turn signal camera option turned on. You can turn it off. Maybe annoying to you sometimes. You can just tap that button there. But since the car is so wide, I cannot reach the other side from the in here. But you can do that, and it actually will help you kind of help to steer around the corner. So that's something you may want to use in some scenarios. Now, I would say the paddle shifters are okay. They don't feel particularly aggressive or responsive as I would hope they would have felt. The gear shifts, honestly, in auto are a little bit quicker than I feel in the manual mode, so I honestly have just been leaving it in auto most of this week. Other stuff in here, you know, you're gonna notice there's not a lot of buttons anywhere, and everything is generally pretty close to you. I like this placement of the screen. We do have a glass roof option on this one. You can get a metal hard roof, but there's no opening roof. You can only get this giant fixed panoramic glass roof, or the completely closed roof as well, so you don't really have that many options there. Easy haptic buttons here for your heated and ventilated seats that we have on this car, which is nice. But there's a lot of ways you actually can use all of that heated stuff. There's quite a few different redundant options here, which never really is a bad thing. More of that turn signal camera there. I really do think that, you know, given the hype around bringing back a gas engine into this vehicle really quickly, I think they did a good job. You know, I don't think it feels particularly rushed in any way. I think it all works kind of well. The powertrain delivery and the tuning of all of it is pretty well. It works well. It is a fast car. It is not slow, but it has almost this old school turbocharger-esque nature to it, which we'll see when we accelerate out on the highway in just a second. Yeah, this thing has some serious power, and the brakes are also quite good as well at stopping all of this weight. I never really felt any, you know, fade or any funkiness in the braking department either in this vehicle. So power delivery is great. Coming out onto the highway, you're never going to have an issue in any scenario with this car. If anything, you're going to get a lot of looks, because I love that turbo noise, because these just really are not on the roads just yet as much, and they really have just come out as of this filming. We'll take it out of sport mode in just a second. I just want to show you guys these paddle shifters once again. We do also have a heads-up display on the vehicle, which actually displays quite a lot of nice information, so I'll give it them props there. Ooh, upshifts are nice. Upshifts are quick. It's just the downshifts have a little bit of some typical ZF-ness to them, where they're not, you know, super responsive feeling, but they do happen relatively quick. Yeah, this is a serious car. If anyone, you know, is saying, oh, it's slow, it's not. It is not slow whatsoever. You're just thinking of it as a different kind of vehicle. Out on the highway, it also, again, really shines. It's impressively quiet in this cabin on the highway. I'll shut up for a second just so you guys can hear the road noise. But yeah, it's quiet in here, so it borrows a lot of that refinement from the EV into this gas vehicle, which is not a bad thing, actually. I quite appreciate that. And yet they've still found a way to kind of bake in all of the really wonderful engine sounds and exhaust sounds in the vehicle. And this one, with all of its upgraded packages, actually gets full driving assist and adaptive cruise control. So right-hand side of the steering wheel here, we turn it on with the center button on the left, set our speed, and voila, that is it. We even do get a more advanced gauge for our driver assistance systems, somewhere baked up here. If I can find it in just a second for you guys. There we go, driver info. And if you want steering assist as well, you just press the center button. Now we have full active driving assist. Now, this is not a hands-free style system, but it does do full steering assist, so it will drive you around this corner. It will instantly start yelling at you to put your hands on the wheel. This is a capacitive touch style system, not a force system, so I could just literally just touch it in that sense, and it will recognize that I have a hand on the steering wheel right there, as you can see. But it does actually do a pretty good job, especially for how wide this car is. I've typically found wider vehicles often have a more difficult time with these systems, but this works well, actually. Carrying over a lot of that, you know, success I think they've had with it from the Jeep's products. So I think that's great there. I like the little screen here. We have an old, I believe it's an old Charger all the way in the distance there as our follow vehicle. That's a nice little Easter egg as well. But again, this is a great grand touring vehicle out on the highway. It's comfortable. You have so much room in this cabin to just stretch out. There's actually quite a lot of storage in here as well. And in addition to that, it's really quiet, like I mentioned. Now, as we are out on the highway, hitting some traffic, we can do a quick little demonstration of our audio system. We do have the upgraded audio system in this vehicle. It's pretty loud, pretty punchy, pretty bass heavy. I wouldn't say it's the clearest audio system for an upgrade. I believe it's an Alpine system, but I'll let you guys have a go at that right now. We have a volume knob physical right here, and of course those volume and tune scrollers behind our steering wheel in typical FCA Stellantis fashion. Like I mentioned, pretty good audio system. It gets really loud, but it's not the clearest system. It is really focused, I think, on those more of those bass tones in the vehicle. Also, I noticed in this particular car, this could potentially be a pre-production prototype test car, not meant for sale, but some rattle is coming from this side, specifically if there's no one sitting in the passenger seat. That sometimes I noticed rattled a little bit, especially if you don't have the seatbelt holder buckle snapped into place. That will rattle, and from this headliner piece over here. But again, really early build, relatively new car. The EV actually was pretty okay in build quality overall, so not too bad there. But I have seen some stuff online here and there that I know some of y'all have had some issues with some early models, but that is generally expected in the industry with newer, brand new vehicles, especially one that's ground up all new. So to conclude off on my week here with the Dodge Charger 6-pack, as we are now entering traffic on our daily commute, I like it. I really actually do really appreciate it. I don't think it's priced astronomically too high. You have to remember, you're getting like 550 horsepower from a twin turbo inline six, all-wheel drive, and just this like one option package is more than enough to really just have you a pretty nicely designed interior. You kind of feel special in this car. Not many people have it just yet, and you know, resale value wise, I can tell you these will be doing much better than the EV versions or the Daytonas. And of course, this will be offered soon in a lower output version that's going to be under $50,000, I believe, with around 420, 430-ish horsepower. And we're also going to be getting this available in the 4-door variant as well, which is pretty much the same vehicle, just with 4 doors, as this coupe version is just so long. I like that. I think that's cool. I think this is going to grow on a lot of people, I think, really quickly over time. I think this is a fantastic powertrain. It has a lot of potential. I think it has a lot of tuning potential. And I don't know. I think this is a really special vehicle, and there's not much like it on the market. Stay tuned for some other American automakers. They might be coming out with something a bit similar quite soon. But otherwise, I like this. Good job, Dodge. It's definitely unique. It's special. It's a big Grand Touring, sporty Grand Tour. It's a sporty Grand Tour. That's what it is. Confident in saying that. Okay. Nonetheless, guys, thanks for joining us on yet another drive and review over at Allcarnews. And as always, stay tuned for more coming soon. Cheers.